Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the absolute, impenetrable darkness of deep space. A void so profound, so empty, that it swallows everything. We have always been told that space is a silent vacuum, a place where no one can hear you scream, where sound simply cannot exist. But what if this ultimate truth was just an illusion? Welcome, space travelers. Today we are going to explore a mystery that has sent chills down the spines of scientists and dreamers alike. We are going back to the moon with the Artemis II mission. But this journey is not just about human exploration. It is about a terrifying, haunting sound recorded just outside the spacecraft. A sound that proves the universe is never truly quiet. Settle in. Let your breathing slow down. Allow the gravity of Earth to fade away as we drift into the cosmic ocean to listen to the whispers of the void. To truly understand the magnitude of this sound, we must first set the stage. The Artemis II mission represents humanity's triumphant return to deep space. 4 brave astronauts inside the state-of-the-art Orion spacecraft, leaving the protective embrace of low Earth orbit. They are traveling further than anyone has gone in over 50 years. Their destination is the moon, a desolate world hanging in the silent abyss. As Orion crosses the vast gulf between our blue planet and its silver satellite, it enters a region known as cis-lunar space. This is a realm of extreme radiation, brutal temperatures, and absolute vacuum. Traditionally, sound is a mechanical wave. It needs a medium. It needs air, water, or metal to travel. Without a medium, molecules cannot bump into each other. Therefore, our human ears would hear nothing out there, just a crushing, deafening silence. But our human senses are limited. We only perceive a tiny fraction of reality. The instruments aboard the Artemis II spacecraft are designed to feel what we cannot. They possess antennas and sensors acting as electronic ears, constantly scanning the environment outside the thick metal hull. And what they captured out there, in the cold, dark expanse, defies our common sense. It is a recording that bridges the gap between physics and poetry, a symphony of terror and awe. Let us begin our descent into this acoustic mystery. Imagine the Orion spacecraft, a tiny, fragile bubble of life gliding through an infinite sea of nothingness. Inside, there is the hum of life support, the gentle whir of fans, the quiet breathing of the crew. But outside, there is an environment so hostile it defies imagination. The sensors mounted on the exterior of the hull are essentially blind to light, but hyper-aware of energy. They act like sensitive microphones submerged in a dark ocean. What is the nature of this terrifying sound they picked up? To understand it, picture a solitary lighthouse on a dark cliff being battered by invisible waves. The spacecraft is that lighthouse. The waves are not made of water, but of pure, unseen energy crashing against the titanium walls. As we drift further from Earth, we must confront a persistent myth, the myth of the silent universe. We often think of the vacuum of space as an empty room, swept clean of everything. But this is beautifully incorrect. Space is not empty. It is a boiling soup of quantum fluctuations, electromagnetic radiation, and charged particles. The sound recorded by Artemis II is a translation of this invisible chaos. Scientists take the frequencies of these electromagnetic waves and map them onto sound waves that the human ear can process. This process is called sonification. It is like taking a book written in an alien language and translating it into a beautiful yet terrifying song. The first tones of the Artemis II recording are deeply unsettling. They do not sound like a machine. They do not sound like static. Instead, they resemble the slow, agonizing groans of shifting ice on a frozen lake. Imagine standing on a frozen ocean at midnight, listening to the dark water cracking the thick ice beneath your feet. That is the texture of this cosmic audio. It is a low, guttural vibration that seems to bypass the ears and resonate directly inside your chest. This is the sound of plasma waves interacting with the magnetic fields surrounding the spacecraft. It is the voice of the raw, untamed solar system. What exactly creates these ghostly moans? The primary culprit is the Sun. Our star is not just a source of light, it is a violent, churning reactor that constantly exhales a hurricane of charged particles known as the solar wind. This wind races across the solar system at millions of miles per hour. When these charged particles slam into the outer shields of the Orion spacecraft, they create microscopic electrical storms. The instruments record the frequency of these impacts. When sonified, this solar bombardment sounds like a terrifying, relentless tempest. It is the breath of a star, whispering against the glass of our fragile spaceship. But there is another layer to this terrifying sound, a higher, piercing frequency that dances above the deep groans. It sounds eerily like a flock of birds screaming in the distance, or the screech of metal under immense pressure. Think of the haunting whistles of a submarine diving too deep into the ocean abyss. This high-pitched phenomenon is caused by something called chorus waves. These are naturally occurring electromagnetic emissions that happen when electrons are pushed and pulled by the Earth's magnetic field. Even though Artemis II is traveling far from home, the invisible magnetic fingers of Earth still reach out, plucking the strings of the cosmic guitar. Let us pause and shatter another illusion. Many people, upon hearing these sounds, immediately jump to science fiction. They hear alien transmissions. They imagine a warning from an extraterrestrial intelligence. It is a romantic thought, deeply ingrained in our culture. But the reality is far more magnificent and indifferent. This is not a message from aliens. It is the architecture of the universe itself. The sound of physics operating on a scale so massive it terrifies our primal instincts. We are afraid of the dark, and we are afraid of sounds we cannot identify. The Artemis II recording triggers that ancient fear, proving that nature itself is the ultimate creator of cosmic horror. As the Orion capsule pushes further into the void, the audio recording shifts. The protective bubble of the Earth's magnetosphere begins to fade. The sounds of the chorus waves die down, replaced by something even more desolate. The sound of deep, interstellar isolation. Imagine being left completely alone in the middle of a vast desert, with only the sound of a dry, hollow wind rushing past your ears. That is what the exterior sensors began to pick up. A hollow, rhythmic, swooshing sound. This is the background noise of the universe. The faint echoes of charged particles drifting through the sheer emptiness of cis-lunar space. The psychological impact of this sound is profound. For the scientists sitting in mission control, listening to this raw data is a sobering experience. It is a reminder of how thin the line is between life and absolute annihilation. Inside the capsule, the astronauts are protected, but just inches away, separated by a layer of metal and glass, roars a deadly environment. Hearing the sonification of this environment makes the danger real. It takes the abstract concept of radiation and vacuum and turns it into a monster growling at the door. It is a humbling reminder of our smallness in the grand tapestry of the galaxy. To truly grasp the nature of these sounds, we can look back at history. Artemis II is not the first mission to encounter the creepy acoustics of space. During the Apollo era, the crew of Apollo 10 heard what they described as strange, otherworldly music while orbiting the dark side of the Moon. They were cut off from Earth, bathed in the shadows of the lunar surface, and their headsets filled with an eerie, whistling noise. For decades, this remained a mystery, but just like the Artemis II recordings, it was later revealed to be radio interference between the lunar module and the command module, interacting with the charged plasma environment. History repeats itself, but our instruments have grown sharper, capturing the horror in high fidelity. Let us dive deeper into the texture of the Artemis II recording. At a specific point in the journey, the continuous groans are suddenly interrupted by sharp, cracking sounds. Pop, pop, crack, like pebbles being thrown against a window during a storm. Picture yourself sitting by a fire, listening to the dry wood snap and splinter. These sudden, terrifying spikes in the audio are the sonic footprints of cosmic dust. Micrometeoroids, smaller than a grain of sand, traveling at hypervelocity, impacting the spacecraft's outer shell. In the vacuum of space, they do not make a sound, but the sensors feel the vibration, the sudden burst of kinetic energy. Translated to sound, it is a reminder that the void is full of invisible bullets. The most terrifying aspect of the Artemis II recording is perhaps its indifference. When we listen to earthly sounds, a roaring tiger, a thunderstorm, a falling tree, we associate them with familiar earthly mechanics. But the sounds of deep space have no emotion. They are cold, they are mathematical. They are the sound of raw energy obeying the laws of thermodynamics. As the sound washes over you, you realize it would sound exactly the same whether humanity existed or not. It is a song that has been playing for billions of years and will continue to play long after our sun has burned out. It is the sound of eternity. As Artemis II approaches the moon, the lunar environment begins to influence the soundscape. The moon does not have a global magnetic field like Earth. It is a dead rock. But it does have a wake. Just like a ship moving through water leaves a trail of turbulent waves behind it, the moon leaves a wake in the solar wind. When the Orion spacecraft enters this invisible lunar wake, the audio recording drops violently. The howling solar wind is suddenly muted, replaced by a suffocating, heavy silence. It is like driving a car into a thick, sound-dampening tunnel. This sudden absence of the terrifying noise is almost more terrifying than the noise itself. But the silence in the lunar wake does not last. The moon has localized pockets of magnetic activity, remnants of a long-dead lunar dynamo. These magnetic anomalies interact with the sparse particles in the lunar exosphere. As Artemis II flies over these regions, the instruments pick up weird, warbling tones. Imagine the sound of a vintage synthesizer playing low, unpredictable notes in a dark, empty concert hall. These warbling sounds are the final whispers of a dead world. The ghost of a magnetic field trying to sing a song it forgot billions of years ago. We must also consider the contribution of the spacecraft itself to this terrifying symphony. The Orion capsule is a complex beast, filled with flowing fluids, humming gyroscopes, and pulsing thrusters. While the sensors are designed to listen outward, they inevitably capture the mechanical vibrations of the ship. When sonified, the firing of a thruster in the vacuum of space sounds like a massive, distant explosion, followed by a long, metallic ring. Think of striking a massive Tibetan singing bowl with a heavy mallet. The initial shock gives way to a resonant vibration that fades slowly into the cosmic background. The ship itself becomes an instrument, playing a duet with the universe. Let us explore the concept of Whistler waves. These are a specific type of electromagnetic wave captured by Artemis II, and their sound is truly hair-raising. Whistler waves are generated by lightning strikes back on Earth. The energy from a lightning bolt escapes the atmosphere, travels along the Earth's magnetic field lines, and echoes out into space. By the time this energy reaches the sensors of Orion, it has been stretched and distorted. When sonified, it sounds like a descending, sweeping whistle. Imagine a bomb falling from the sky, but the whistle stretches out for minutes. It is a beautiful, eerie reminder that the weather of our home planet echoes far into the dark void. The blending of these elements, the solar wind, the micrometeoroids, the chorus waves, and the whistlers, creates a soundscape that is inherently chaotic. The human brain naturally searches for patterns. We want to find a rhythm, a melody in the noise, but space offers none. It is a discordant, arrhythmic onslaught of data. This lack of pattern is what makes the sound so deeply terrifying. It represents the ultimate unknown. It strips away our comforting illusions of order and presents us with the raw, chaotic reality of the cosmos. To listen to it is to look directly into the abyss and hear the abyss breathing back. Imagine the perspective of the astronauts. While they do not hear these sonified waves in their headsets during regular operations, they are keenly aware of the environment outside. They know that just beyond the bulkheads, a storm of radiation and plasma is raging. If they could step outside without a suit, and if they possessed magical ears capable of hearing electromagnetic waves, they would be deafened by the roar. The juxtaposition of the calm, sterile, brightly lit interior of the Orion capsule and the dark, screaming chaos just inches away is a testament to human engineering. We have built a tiny sanctuary in the middle of a cosmic hurricane. As we listen to these sounds, it is crucial to debunk the idea that space is peaceful. We often use imagery of stars slowly drifting, galaxies slowly rotating, to induce sleep and relaxation. And visually, space is deeply calming. But energetically, dynamically, it is a war zone. Stars are exploding, black holes are tearing matter apart, and magnetic fields are snapping with the force of billions of atomic bombs. The sounds of Artemis II bring this violent reality to our ears. It is a harsh truth, but there is a strange comfort in accepting it. We find peace not in the false belief of a quiet universe, but in our ability to survive and understand its chaotic roar. Let us focus on a specific frequency range in the recording, the ultra-low frequencies. These are sounds so deep they border on the subsonic. If you were playing this recording on a massive subwoofer, the floor would shake, but you would barely hear a tone. This is the sound of the heliosphere itself, the boundary where the sun's influence pushes against the interstellar medium. Even though Artemis II is relatively close to home, its sensitive instruments can pick up the faint background rumble of our entire solar system moving through the galaxy. It is the heartbeat of our cosmic neighborhood, a slow, heavy thud that has been pulsing since the dawn of time. In contrast to the heavy rumble, there are the fleeting, ephemeral sounds of solar flares. When the sun erupts, throwing a mass of plasma into space, the electromagnetic shockwave travels outward. When this shockwave washes over the Artemis II sensors, the sonification sounds like a sudden rush of static, akin to a massive wave crashing onto a rocky shore. Imagine standing on a beach with your eyes closed, listening to the ocean suddenly surge forward and consume the sand. The sound is overwhelming, all-encompassing, and then, just as quickly, it fades away, leaving the haunting background hum of the vacuum behind. The terrifying beauty of this audio is how it challenges our definition of reality. We trust our ears to tell us what is real. The rustle of leaves, the voice of a friend. But in space, our ears are useless. We must rely on mathematics, antennas, and algorithms to translate reality for us. The sound of Artemis II is entirely synthetic, yet it represents something entirely real. It forces us to ask, what other invisible forces are shaping our world right now that we simply lack the senses to perceive? What other terrifying, beautiful songs is the universe singing, just waiting for us to build the right instrument to hear them? Consider the vast distances involved. The sound of a solar flare sweeping past the spacecraft is just a tiny fragment of a much larger event. That same shockwave will continue past the Moon, past Mars, past Jupiter, echoing all the way to the edge of the solar system. The sound we hear in the Artemis recording is just a momentary intersection of a wave and a metal box. It is like capturing a single drop of rain and trying to understand the entire storm. The scale is paralyzing. It makes human existence seem infinitely fragile, a fleeting thought in a mind made of plasma and gravity. Yet, in this terrifying soundscape, scientists find a treasure trove of data. Every screech, every pop, every low groan tells them something vital about the environment. By listening to the pitch and intensity of the plasma waves, they can calculate the density of the solar wind. By analyzing the micrometeoroid impacts, they can map the dust distribution in cis-lunar space. What sounds like a nightmare to the untrained ear is, to an astrophysicist, a rich, detailed map of the invisible world. They are the true explorers of this new frontier, navigating by the light of unseen radiation and the sound of silent waves. As Artemis II swings around the far side of the Moon, preparing for its return trajectory, the audio environment shifts once more. The spacecraft is now shielded not only by its own hull, but by the massive rocky body of the Moon itself. It is blocked from the direct assault of the solar wind. For a brief period, the intense, terrifying roar of the Sun subsides. The recording becomes dominated by the internal hums of the spacecraft and the faint, ghostly static of the galactic cosmic background. It is a moment of deep, profound isolation, the ultimate solitude. Being cut off from Earth, hidden behind the Moon, bathed in the quietest sounds the universe has to offer. Imagine the feeling of being in that capsule during this phase. You look out the window and see the cratered grey surface of the far side of the Moon, a landscape that has never been touched by human hands. And if you could plug the exterior audio into your headset, you would hear the sound of true emptiness, a gentle undulating hiss, like a television tuned to a dead channel. This is the sound of the oldest light in the universe, the cosmic microwave background radiation faintly interacting with the ship's antennas. It is the echo of the Big Bang itself, a sound that is both terrifyingly ancient and beautifully serene. But this quiet moment is fleeting. As the spacecraft emerges from behind the Moon, Earthrise occurs. The blue marble floats up over the grey horizon, and with the return of line of sight to Earth, the barrage of electromagnetic waves resumes. The chorus waves return. The solar wind howls once more. The terrifying symphony starts a new movement. The contrast between the deep silence of the lunar shadow and the sudden roar of the sunlit void is staggering. It illustrates the dynamic, ever-changing nature of the space environment. It is not a static, empty room. It is a flowing, turbulent river of energy. The sounds recorded by Artemis II serve as a powerful reminder of why space exploration is so difficult. It is not just about building big rockets. It is about surviving an environment that is actively hostile to biology. The terrifying noises are the auditory manifestation of that hostility. Every time a plasma wave crashes against the hull, it carries radiation that could destroy human cells. The spacecraft must be perfectly engineered to withstand this unseen assault. Listening to the audio is like listening to a shield deflecting a barrage of invisible arrows. It makes you appreciate the genius and dedication of the engineers who build these fragile, miraculous machines. As we continue to process these sounds, they become a part of our cultural heritage. Just as the grainy images of the Apollo moonwalks defined a generation, the sounds of deep space will define the Artemis generation. We are moving beyond just looking at space. We are beginning to feel it, to listen to it. These terrifying, beautiful recordings will inspire musicians, filmmakers, and dreamers. They expand our sensory vocabulary. They give us a new way to connect with the cosmos, a way that bypasses logic and speaks directly to our primal emotions. The fear, the awe, the profound sense of wonder. Let the sound wash over you one more time. The low groan of the plasma, the sharp crack of dust, the sweeping whistle of distant lightning. It is not a random collection of noises. It is the voice of reality. The universe is not a silent, dead place. It is alive with energy, vibration, and immense power. The terrifying nature of the sound is just our human minds trying to comprehend the incomprehensible scale of the cosmos. By listening, by facing the fear of the dark and the unknown, we take a step closer to understanding our place in this vast, turbulent ocean. As the Artemis II spacecraft sets its course back to the safety of Earth, the harsh sounds of deep space slowly begin to fade, replaced by the familiar, comforting hum of our planet's strong magnetosphere. The journey into the terrifying acoustic void is over, but the data, the echoes, remain with us. They are a permanent record of our audacity, a proof that we dared to sail into the dark, to stick a microphone into the abyss and listen to what the universe had to say. The silence is broken forever. The cosmos has spoken, and its song is as terrifying as it is magnificent. As we slowly drift back to the safety of our atmosphere, leaving the harsh, screaming vacuum of deep space behind, let the echoes of the Artemis II recordings fade from your mind. The universe is not the silent, peaceful painting we often imagine. It is a roaring ocean of plasma, a tempest of invisible forces, and an orchestra of terrifying, majestic physics. We have faced the dark void, and we have heard its voice. It is a sound that humbles us, reminding us of our fragility, yet also of our incredible courage to explore. Thank you for joining us on this hypnotic journey into the unknown. If this acoustic voyage into deep space sent shivers down your spine, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and close your eyes for one final thought. Before you go, tell us in the comments, if you were floating out there in the dark, what do you think the silence of the moon would sound like to you?